too often we not only hold on to items, but I think we hold on to former selves. I actually think that we compare ourselves to our former selves more than we compare ourselves to other women. Like, we're so hard on ourselves when it comes to the fact that we have changed it all, which is ridiculous. Change is a part of life. It's amazing. I do not want to be 20 years old. I don't care if that means like having my 20-year-old body. I don't want any of that. And unfortunately, it's society who is just trying to make us buy things in the end.
Welcome to the Favorite Self podcast. I like to think of it not as your future self or your best self, but your favorite self. My favorite self that just makes me feel the truest version of me. What lights your favorite self on fire? I'm Carly Ottaway, founder, author, storyteller, and a woman who learned that building a successful life means nothing if it doesn't feel like yours. This podcast is for women who are building businesses, raising families, leading movements, and asking themselves, is this it, or is there more available to me? This is your invitation to come back to yourself. Let's dig in. Hello, and welcome back to the Favorite Self podcast. Today's conversation is one that I have been so excited to share with you because we are diving into something that really impacts how you show up in every room, every conversation, and ultimately like every season of life and every version of you that comes with that. And that is your personal style. I am joined today by the incredible Suzanne Colmer, founder of Your Shop Girl. Suzanne is a Toronto-based image and style consultant who takes a completely human-centered approach to style. Her work goes so far beyond clothes. She really helps you feel confident, powerful, and aligned in how you present yourself so that your wardrobe actually reflects who you are and who you are becoming. Suzanne specializes in what she calls closet cleanses and shopping your closet. And she has this philosophy rooted in buying less, wearing more, and creating a wardrobe that really supports your life. Her work has been featured on Global TV, CBC, the Globe and Mail, and internationally with Tourism Toronto as well. But what I love most about Suzanne is how she talks about style as an extension of identity. And ultimately as a mirror, as a tool to step into your favorite self. So we get into why your clothes impact how you think, feel, and show up, the difference between looking good and actually feeling like yourself, and how to reconnect with your style in a way that feels intentional and aligned. She shares so many good tips for how to build a wardrobe that supports your next level and not your past self. So if you've ever stood in front of your closet and just wondered what the heck you're even going to wear and feeling like nothing fits right, nothing feels good, nothing looks right, this conversation is going to hit. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back. I am so excited to have a very special guest for you today, someone who we actually initially met at a Workwives brunch, and shout out to Workwives and to Monica, who just had her adorable baby. And we immediately hit it off. I love how this guest talks about your style, your personal style. And of course, I had to bring that component onto the podcast. And she's just been a big part of the launch of it too, and someone that I've confided in around the title of the podcast and everything. So Suzanne, I'm so excited that you're finally here.
I'm so excited that this exists and I can be here. This is amazing, and congratulations to you for doing it. And it's amazing. I've been listening. I've been listening along and watching as well. I was watching on YouTube as well, and you're amazing.
Oh, I love that so much. And yeah, you were someone that I said to you right away, I need to have you on. We need to talk about this because you probably heard actually on an earlier episode with Maria, but I came up with this idea for my book club launch of dressing as your favorite self, because of course the favorite self is a huge part of my book, and now it's the podcast. And I had no idea what a huge impact that would have on people that I've heard now from the feedback that I've gotten in terms of just like how that really like maybe sent them into a little bit of a panic at first, an identity crisis, but then also led to just so much freedom and intention around really thinking about what they were going to wear. And we're
Yes.
going to get into that. But especially for entrepreneurs that are, maybe work from home a lot, but then are going to these events. And it seems to be always a topic of conversation, like what to wear at these events. Why do I feel like I always need a new outfit for every event that I attend? You're going to give us lots of ideas. So before we get there, though, I'd love to just start with your own story and really what inspired you to take this path and to get into this line of work.
I think it chose me, but my undergrad was in gender studies and sociology. I had a double major and then a minor in philosophy, which we won't talk about because I didn't do very well in that part. But the sociology and the gender studies were just they were they were so groundbreaking for me, and I loved every subject that I was in. I like hardly missed any classes. But once I graduated from U of T, it was like, okay, well, what am I doing with this? I thought I might teach, but that didn't really float my boat. So I started to look into other kind of college courses that I could attend, and I came across image consulting at George Brown, which I had no idea what it was, but was kind of interested in the the explanation of the first initial course. And I attended, and after the first class, I called my best friend, and I was incredibly emotional, and I just said, I know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Like this is it. I'm never going to write another resume. I didn't have a career. I didn't have a real job before I started my business. I went straight from school to hanging out in Paris a little bit, eating a lot of croissants, learning about their fashion, and then starting my business. So it really was something that I felt like combined all of my favorite things and my zones of genius into a job. And like 12-year-old Suzanne is very proud of 40 something Suzanne, because we're like, we made this into a job. Like, this is so great. It's not it's kind of the cool thing about being an entrepreneur. It's not necessarily what you would have thought you would have been in when you were 5 years old, but it it's so much fun, and it's just so gratifying, and I love it as much now 18 years in as I did when I first started.
Wow. I love that so much. I love that you had that clarity coming right out of school and jumped right into entrepreneurship. And tell me a little bit about, I feel like it started early, especially with your studies, but at what point did you really realize that this was about so much more than clothes?
I think I always knew. I think that's what drew me to image consulting versus styling. I never did any stylist courses because that really focused on the clothes, and it's such an art, and I have so much admiration for stylists. I think they're amazing, but I have tried to do styling gigs in the past, and I was horrible at it because all I wanted to know was like how the model felt in the clothes before before I was putting them on. My work is really, it's very human centered, so it's about the person first and then the clothing second. It's why you will never see before and afters on any of my socials. I don't care about other people seeing an after and saying like, oh, I love that. I care about the person saying like, yes, this is now my favorite version of myself, and I feel like my favorite version of myself, and it's not going to be everyone's favorite version. And that's why I don't like the word best. I think that's what we we kind of talked about initially with the name of the podcast and why I resonated so much with it.
Oh, I love it. I'm so curious if you could just explain a little bit more about the difference between the image consulting or being an image consultant versus a
Yes.
stylist.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that might get me right back on my train of thought, especially considering the like 3 hours of sleep that I'm on. So the main difference between image consulting or style consulting and styling is that styling selling is really about selling clothing. It's really about focusing on the clothing and not necessarily on what feels best on the person. And for me, I can't style someone without asking them 102 questions prior to that. It's not about them just looking good. It's about them feeling good. And I think when we feel good in an outfit, we're going to look good in an outfit. But it's not always guaranteed the other way around. Just because we look good in something doesn't mean that we're going to feel good in it, right? And I could potentially dress you up in 100 different outfits that are going to look good, but you're not going to feel like your favorite self in 98 of them, you know? So it's a matter of focusing on those two that you do and then ensuring that we can replicate that in every single part of your life. So no piece of clothing from your underwear to your outerwear is going to be something that doesn't make you feel amazing.
I love that so much. That's so important, the feeling of it. And yeah, I've been in so many outfits that like looked bomb but did not feel
No.
good. And that's what always pulled me away from it, you know? And can you tell us just a little bit about why what you wear has such an impact on the way that you show up?
Oh, it's there's so many levels to this. I think that part of it, especially as entrepreneurs, is that we understand the importance of first impressions, right? Like we know that we are walking billboards. Often, especially, you know, for me as a solopreneur, like I am my company, right? So we know that how we show up to a sales meeting or how we show up to a networking event is reflective of our companies. I don't necessarily think we really understand how much of clothing makes the impact versus, you know, us whatever, doing our hair or our nails or the way that we talk. I think that our clothing is such a massive tool for this because we're telling a story whether we like it or not, right? I can see someone and I can create a story about who they are or where they're going. I can create a whole story about what their personal brand is, right? The important thing for me is that I get to write my own story, right? I get to control that narrative. And on top of that, like that's, you know, that's one thing. If you want to argue, well, I don't care about what other people think about me, then we can also look at the psychological effects of style. There's something called enclothed cognition. It's a term coined by these two psychologists. It was Adam and Galinsky in 2012, and they did this really cool test where they had all these participants given white coats, right? Half of the people were told that they were lab coats, and half of them were told that they were painter's coats. So keeping in mind, these are the exact same coats that they're all being given, right? Then they're asked to do these tests. So they're all wearing the same coats, half of them in quote unquote painter's coats, half of them in these lab coats, and they're asked to do these tests where the word shows up and it is a name of a color, but it's the font is actually a different color than the word that you're looking at. So the word could be yellow, but is actually in like a purple font, right? So you have to read yellow without saying purple. And what they found was the people who were actually in the lab coats after doing this test, they had half as many errors as the people who were wearing the painter's coats. And, you know, they did this test, you know, quite a few times and the same results came up. And there was this clear idea afterwards that there is a total connection between what we wear and how we feel and how we think. I would challenge you to, you know, put a 3-year-old in like a Superman cape pajama and like ask them not to run around. I like ask them to go to sleep right away or show up to your next networking in your pajamas or in a sweatsuit and see how you feel, right? There's definitely a connection between what we're putting on our body and how we feel. And I know for myself as a entrepreneur that works from home constantly, this is something that I take really seriously. You know, when I am getting dressed for work in the morning, I'm getting dressed as if I was going out somewhere. I might be a little bit more comfortable than you know, say if I was going to like meet a client for the first time, but I'm not afraid for someone to show up at my door and want to take my picture, right? I know that what I'm wearing is something that I'm going to feel very comfortable in bumping into anyone that I could bump into, whether it's a nemesis or a client. I'm gonna feel confident in that. So that's a key thing for me. And even when I'm presenting, especially virtually, I'm dressed from head to toe. That means that I have shoes on. I have everything as if I was in person, but I'm virtual, and that's important for me from an energy perspective, but definitely from a psychological perspective, just to be like I'm gonna show up, not just for you, but actually more for me.
Yeah, so fascinating. And I mean, that study too just really shows the identity piece, right? And how it taps into your subconscious belief around yourself and how you show up. And I thought that story was going in a whole other direction with the painter's coats, and it was the science labs that were the ones that were showing up and able to yeah, answer the questions more precisely.
The
And
lab, yeah, sorry, the people with the science coats, the
yeah,
lab coats, they
yeah.
were they were the ones who
I was
answered
just
it.
thinking it was going to be like
Yeah.
some sort of art thing with the,
Oh no.
and they were going to tap into this artistic side. But so fascinating. So can you just share a little bit then about your own journey and evolution of your style and how that has changed? And yeah, then maybe also share a little bit about how you work with clients in that as
Yeah.
well.
I think that my story is quite typical of most women around my age, anyways, in that every few years, as our like molecules are all different, we kind of morph into different people, or we have transitions in our lives where we may become a a mom, or maybe we transition to a different job, or maybe we lose someone and it changes us. Like there are times in our lives where we feel like we are different than what we were before. It's kind of our before and after moments. And I often think that it would be strange not to have our closets kind of evolve with that. I remember thinking after I had my daughter that I had no idea who was living in my closet, but I just wanted them gone. Like you are you're not me anymore. Thank you for being there for me when I needed you, but I need you gone. So I cleared out my whole closet. I left myself with two outfits just so I could kind of survive and get dressed and not get arrested. But I started over, and that for me was probably a really defining moment, even for me as an image consultant, because I had to be my own client too. So I really had to start to think about, you know, who I was now and how I wanted to present myself now, and what my body looked like now, and you know what what was my new favorite self, right? And that is very similar to how I work with my clients. It's a matter of being a facilitator and not just telling them the answer to things. So, who are you, and how can we define that through style? And a lot of that is working through visuals, because obviously what I do is incredibly visual. And it's almost like looking at art, or looking at interior design. So you want to think about like what you would kind of pause on. And that starts with having a vision board. So all of my clients, have a vision board that we use to identify what their kind of overall style looks like. And then from there, we obviously have to look at, what their body shape is, what styles and patterns and fabrics and everything are going to work on them. And also, colors and everything as well. And then what kind of life they have too. So whether or not they could capsule wardrobe, whether or not we need a few capsules, whether or not they just want rooms and rooms of clothes, and if that floats their boat and that makes them happy, then that works too. But the key thing is to just start with the end in mind. So how do you want to look and feel at the end of this? And then we can break it down and kind of create a formula from there.
I love it's so permission giving. I love your story around like after motherhood. I think so many of the community listening can relate to that moment. And it is such a huge identity shift, and everything feels different. Your body feels different, the way that you show up feels different, but so permission giving to remember that like we get to rewrite that story, and evolve and step into that next version of our favorite selves in each season. And I know a big part of what you do that we're going to get into is shopping your own closet too. So that doesn't always mean starting from scratch as, but at the same time, like sometimes that is the move that's needed to really kind of shed those old layers. And so often we hold on to items that we'll never actually wear again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Too often, I would say. Too often we not only hold on to items, but I think we hold on to former selves. Like there is just such a common theme of my clients, especially women, comparing themselves to their former selves. I actually think that we compare ourselves to our former selves more than we compare ourselves to other women. Like we're so hard on ourselves when it comes to the fact that we have changed it all, which is ridiculous. Change is a part of life. It's amazing. I do not want to be 20 years old. I don't care if that means like having my 20-year-old body. I don't want any of that. And unfortunately, it's society who is just trying to make us buy things. In the end, that's really what it's all about. It's like you're not good enough, so you should buy things. Like you should be smaller, you should be younger. Here are things that are going to make you smaller and younger. When really the most revolutionary thing for us to all do is just like love ourselves and not buy anything, and like, or just buy the things that we absolutely love, which is what I'm always trying to get clients to do. It's just like buy less, buy way less, but make sure that every single thing that you buy is something that you absolutely love.
I love that advice. And I can understand how it can also be very similar to like interior decor. Really, I feel like I've taken so much time to decorate my house because I'm just like, I haven't found the right paintings to hang on the walls
Yeah.
yet. I have the photographs, but I didn't want to just put something up to take up the space. I wanted to be so intentional about it. And I love that idea of how we approach our wardrobe too. And and yeah, the importance of tuning out that external noise, right?
Mhm.
Especially when we're seeing it's comparison is so obvious on online too, and we feel this pressure to show up and look a certain way.
Yeah.
Can you share some of the questions then that you would recommend people are asking themselves in order to really turn inward? How can they help redefine their style, and what are some of the questions that they could be asking themselves to really understand like who that favorite self is and what her style is?
I think that you can concentrate on your favorite outfit. That's an easy one. If there's an answer to that, oftentimes there isn't. When I ask people what their favorite outfit is, they can't answer it. You can also think about a former favorite outfit if that helps, something that you've in the past felt really great in. I do think that so much of what I do is visual, so it's almost important to trust what you kind of pause on when you're looking online or when you are watching a TV show or a movie or reading a magazine. I'm probably the only one that reads magazines. But I think it's a matter of starting to gather that knowledge in the same way as you looking for art for your walls. It's like, okay, well, what did I pause on? Like what did I really love about this person's outfit? And when you start to gather that information and you start to kind of put it side by side, you realize that there's going to be formulas there. So there's going to be these common themes of, oh, that's really interesting. I paused on these 12 outfits when I was on Pinterest or when I was scrolling Instagram or even when I was on Google Images or when I'm reading my magazine. And they all have blazers on and they all have t-shirts on and they all have these pants on. Maybe some are chinos, some are jeans, whatever it is. But you'll start to see that it forms a bit of a theme once again, in the same way as if we were doing our interior design. If you start to really concentrate on what you love, you realize that even though like French country might be amazing for your best friend, it's not necessarily what you resonate with, or that you thought that you were really modern, but when you're actually gathering these images, they're coming up a lot more, country, whatever it is. So I suggest, gathering those images, having a friend look at them. You could even put them into to whatever you use for AI, whether it's Claude or Chat GPT, and ask them to come up with some words. But I do think those kind of prompts to figure out how you would describe the style that you're resonating with can be incredibly helpful, because then you can figure out what brands and what stores, because that's the next hard part. Is great, like I know my style, I know what I want, but where the hell am I going to find all of this stuff too?
Yeah. I love that approach. And I've found that I've started to implement that a little bit more, like when I'm, thinking of a certain outfit, or when I'm shopping my closet and I'm looking at Pinterest and I pick one item and then, search different things that I could wear it with and different combinations for inspiration, or if I am going to get something and I have a vision in mind. Although then I could be like so particular and I'm not leaving the mall until I nail this vision. I'm interrupting this episode real quick to tell you about something super special coming this fall. I am so excited to officially introduce the Favorite Self Retreat, a one-day in-person experience unlike anything we've ever created before. Together, we're going to uncover and rewrite the old stories keeping you stuck, reconnect with the gifts and parts of yourself that you may have lost along the way, and help you step into what's next, feeling clearer, more grounded, and safe to be fully seen. If you've been loving the conversations on this podcast around identity, visibility, becoming, and reconnecting with your favorite self, you are going to love this experience. You can join the waitlist now through the link in the show notes to be the first to receive the date, location, full details, and early access to tickets. Okay, back to the episode. Okay, I really want to spin into the concept of like how your closet is a mirror. I talk about this a lot around the mirror effect, and how I think it's so fascinating how, your style is mirroring and sending such a clear message about how you're showing up and how you're feeling too. And then even just within your closet, like when you go and look at what's there and really think about what it's reflecting back to you. And I'm curious, we kind of mentioned like the purging and the letting go, and maybe we can start there, just in terms of like, what is the resistance that you find clients are feeling around, or is there resistance around kind of letting go of these other versions of ourselves, and how do you help them work through that?
I feel like I'm like half wardrobe therapist, half image consultant, but I definitely think that there's resistance. Some more than others in terms of my clients. There's some clients who are just so ready to let go, and there's some clients who have to let go because they've changed sizes, and so their closet doesn't work for them anymore. And I think, when I talked about that former self and those comparisons, I think that comes into play quite a bit in terms of letting go, where we hold on to that person so much, where it's like, but I used to be able to fit into this. I used to be a person who could fit into this. And we give so much value to that. And until we can let go of our former self, I don't think we're actually really ever able to love and appreciate our self now, our present self. And that is so much of the work that I do, is just softly and from a place of love, trying to clear some of those old people out of our closets. And sometimes they just go and live in another room and they have a little expiry date put on them, but they can't be something that we stare at every single day, because what that says to ourselves, whether we realize it or not, is, you don't fit into me. Like, you want to fit into me, but you don't fit into me, or you don't suit me anymore. And it feels like it's like something that has to do with us, when it doesn't have anything to do with us, right? It's all about the clothes. It is the clothes' fault. It's not our fault. And I've said this a million times, but it's an easy thing to confirm, because we know that we can feel good in some clothes and like crap in other clothes, right? I can put a pair of jeans on you in 1 second. In the next second, I can put another pair of jeans on. The first make you feel like crap. The second make you feel like an absolute model, right? So that had nothing to do with you. That's everything to do with the clothes. So I think it's really a matter of holding that mirror up and saying, okay, you were a former self, and you don't belong here anymore. and I want to give you new life somewhere else. So you can go out and party with someone else, right? It's not as if we're like throwing out these clothes. We're just kind of, we're we're allowing them to actually be worn rather than getting dusty in our closet. It also takes away some of that analysis paralysis too, where we're staring at our closet thinking that we have a ton of clothes. And when we actually put them all on, which is part of the process in my closet cleanse, is that you're able to quickly tell that they actually don't feel as good as you thought they were going to feel. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to hold on to this blouse because I love it. I wore it and I got so many compliments. It's like, okay, well, let's put it on now and see how you feel. And as soon as you put it on, you're like, oh, never mind. You know what? I like actually hate the way that this feels. I can now say goodbye. Much harder to lie to yourself when you have it on your body.
Ah, yes. I need to make sure that my husband listens back to this episode. I feel like that's so beautifully articulated why he tells me, like, you have so many clothes in your closet. Why can't you find something to wear? But they don't feel the same. I've had so many of those items for years. And I think back even to like my own kind of how stepping out of motherhood changed my body. And it wasn't even just my size, it was like my ribs were bigger,
Absolutely.
my
Yeah.
hips were different, like
Uh-huh.
it's just, my body had just evolved. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, the items that were my favorite, it wasn't even about being able to get back to the size to fit them. They didn't fit the same way. They didn't feel the same way, I think is the
Look,
biggest
and they
piece.
weren't for your body. They were for a past body, right? So it's like,
But
of course they didn't. They're not even made for you. So
yeah,
why would you? It's like taking a square peg and putting it in a round hole. It's like, no,
yes.
this isn't meant to be. Let's just get a
Well,
round peg.
I really love the idea of packing it up and having an expiry date on it
Mhm.
and like putting kind of out of sight, out of mind. I think that's so powerful. Okay, so I'd love to kind of talk about where you would recommend that someone start when they're feeling kind of disconnected from their style. I love the vision board and how you shared that
Mhm.
process. When it comes to like looking at their actual closet and going through that process, like how do you how do you walk them through that closet cleanse and help them kind of feel more connected with their style?
I think that the first thing to do, after you've created your vision board is start to use it as a bit of a recipe, right? So
Mm,
if you can, just like you said, when you're in the mall, like hunting for that specific outfit, if you can kind of use this as a recipe, you take one picture off your board, let's say, and maybe you're going to try to shop your closet with it first. So you're using this image and you have the pieces. You're going to put it on, kind of compare it to the picture and say, all right, this I would describe this in the same way. This feels good. Maybe I'm missing XYZ. So if you're missing a necklace or a pair of shoes or whatever else it is, then what I would suggest is actually taking those pieces to a store, putting that outfit on, or you can wear the outfit to the store, that's fine. And then finding those pieces that you were missing and putting them on. And really being honest and sitting with how you feel when you're in that outfit. Because sometimes I find that I do need to tweak that vision board a little bit once we've actually put them on our body. So some clients may say that they love, I don't know, boho kind of flowing feminine outfits. And then when we actually try them on the body, maybe boho stays, but we end up putting clean lines and timeless in there. And that forms a totally different story than what we had with our first kind of combination of words. So you might need to tweak it a little bit, but the key thing is to have that vision board and then try and actually copy some of those pictures. Never feel like you have to buy anything either. Like you can go into a store and try on 10 different outfits. Try to, put them back on the hangers and not just like leave them on the floor. I did work retail for a little bit. I feel like anyone who's in customer service, just leave the change room looking nice. But you can walk away without buying anything, and that is absolutely okay. Even if it's in a small boutique, that's okay. You don't need to buy anything. You can take pictures of yourself in the outfits. You want to make sure at the end of the day that whatever you're putting on your body is something that you would want if someone else was wearing it, right? Or that if you did put it on your vision board, that it wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb, that it's going to blend in with the rest of those pictures. Because just like recipes, we may need to tweak them a little bit for them to work on us. we're not going in expecting to get this exact color of blazer and this exact top. We're going to need to take into consideration our body shape and our colors as well, and maybe even sensitivities with in fabrics or anything else. So we want to take those, use them as a guideline, and then try and copy them. And then once you've established that, yeah, this feels good, this is my style, and I love this. This is the look that I'm going for. Then you can look in your closet and say, okay, when I'm putting these pieces on, is it something that fits on my vision board? Is it something that I feel amazing in? Is it something that if someone else was wearing it, I would want it? Those are easy, very easy questions without me going into the specifics of the different body shapes and all the different colors that you can ask yourself to figure out whether or not it should stay or it should go. And then from there, you want to make sure that you actually have complete outfits and that it's not just pieces, right? You want things to mix and match and multitask. And so, once you've done that cleanse, that's great to get rid of the clothes, to give them new homes, to, sell them on Poshmark. But the next step is you need to figure out where your holes are, like what you need to buy to actually anchor those clothes. And that's something that has to be done with a lot of intention, in the same way as we do our grocery planning every week. We can't just start thinking about the fact that we have like nothing in our fridge or in our pantry. You probably have some stuff in your pantry. You probably have some stuff in your fridge. Let's work with that and then figure out what other things you need in order to make a dinner, rather than just going out and buying, Haagen-Dazs and ketchup chips, right? Like, so with our clothes, we need to think about what we have, what works, and then what we need in order to allow our pieces to be worn with, three other pieces, or to make three complete outfits, rather than just like, I always wear this with this, and it has to go with this pair of shoes. When we start to do that, it means it's not going to multitask nearly as well.
Yeah. Wow. I love that analogy, the recipe, and comparing it to like, yeah, when you're going grocery shopping. And also that idea of, yes, how can you kind of style this in three different ways? Because there is that part, especially with, like you said, you're kind of your walking billboard, and it's hard sometimes to allow ourselves to repeat an outfit. I've moved on from that. I've gotten a lot better at it. But for a while, or I wouldn't want to repeat it too soon. And we're capturing this content when we're out, and you want it to feel different. So I love that. I think you can have, three very different looks that still tie into your vision board. I mean, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go and create my personal style vision board. I hope everyone else is too. And please tag us in them. I can't wait to see. I would love to pivot and talk about how we can empower our kids to understand their own style, and knowing, of course, that's going to evolve so much, especially when they're young. But our kids are such good teachers, and one story that I've told recently was how when I had my book launch and I told everyone to dress as their favorite selves, and then my son didn't want to wear the jeans that I picked out for him. And I had to take a moment and be like, I mean, I'm telling everyone to dress as their favorite selves. How can I make him wear a pair of jeans that clearly he's not feeling his best in? Sometimes there's some encouragement to actually just put on the jeans and then they feel good in them. So we compromised. It all worked out. But would you share a little bit just in your own motherhood journey as well? I have a almost 8-year-old daughter and soon to be 5-year-old son. So it's also different. So many different things happening in navigating both of their styles. And I just would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, I love this topic because I was a kid who really, really played with style. In that I changed my style a lot. I was voted in my yearbook most changed since grade 9 because I literally, I had my like bright blue cobalt wig that I wore in grade 9. And then by the time I was graduating, Aritzia had arrived on Queen West, and I was, head to toe in like business gear. I really explored who I was through style. And I am so, so thankful for my parents for always encouraging me and never asking me to change no matter where we were going, right? And I could have some really interesting get-ups. I wore a lot of like my dad's pants. I shopped vintage for a long time. I played a lot. And so I encourage my daughter to play. And that means that I do not get involved in decision making for her clothes. What I have done though is I have taught her how to really multitask with things. So she will go into a store and say, Mom, I love these like bright blue leggings, but I don't have three other pieces that are going to work with them. And then I say, do you love them enough that we're going to buy three other pieces to work with them? Like, are we going to work around these? And then she's like, nah, you know what? I'm not. Let's get the gray ones because they'll go with my, pink hoodie or whatever else. So she understands. I've capsuled her wardrobe since she was very little. So she understands that if we're buying things, they have to go with other pieces, and that she needs to make sure that she feels amazing in whatever she's in. She shops. She definitely shops with intention, and she can enter and exit a store very, very quickly, which I also can. I don't know if she is actually looking at everything the way that I am, but she definitely knows what she likes and she knows what she doesn't like. And even when I show her things online to be like, do you like this? Do you like this? We'll look at outfits and on people together as well to get that inspiration, and she will give a very definite no or yes, which I love. But
Mhm.
I had a very short window where I was able to dress her in exactly what I wanted her to wear from like, 1 to 3, I would say. And she was an incredibly put together toddler. But that the wheels fell off pretty quickly after that. And I wanted to get her a button that said like I dressed myself, because there was some parts where I'm like, I don't want to judge this, but I don't want to be taking responsibility for what's happening here. But I
I
think,
love that because
yeah,
it's, I mean, especially for you, because that's what you do for work. We all
yes,
have that, and with so many things, that's where we have to check ourselves in parenting. Like, okay, is this actually about them or is this just about me?
yeah.
And I'm worried about getting judged for what my child is wearing today.
Exactly. Yeah,
And for you,
exactly. I
it's
think I
like
need a
for
button for
work.
my husband too sometimes, actually. A
Yeah,
button for my husband and a button for my kid.
they're
But
not the billboard today. Okay, we're gonna, yeah. Since releasing my book, Coming Home, one of the things I've heard again and again is that it feels like a mirror. Women have told me it felt like having a late night conversation with a friend, that it really helped them see their own courage, their own heartbreaks, their own hopes, and the parts of themselves still waiting for permission. And honestly, that's exactly why I wrote it. Coming Home is for the woman who is building a business, a family, a life, a dream, and looking to do it in a way that actually feels true to who she is. It's a book about healing, storytelling, motherhood, ambition, identity, and the courage to build your own path when the one in front of you doesn't quite fit. So, if you've been craving a reminder that you are allowed to want more, become more, and still come home to yourself in the process, I think you would love Coming Home. You can grab your copy through the link in the show notes. I really love that. And it just gives me the reminder. I feel like I shop online too much for my kids, and it can be a little bit stressful going into the store with them, but it's just another sign that I need to, you know, be that much more intentional with it and help them develop those skills, which is always the hardest part. Like, it's like teaching your kid to tie their shoes when you're in a big rush and got to get out
mhm,
the door. So,
exactly.
just such a good reminder of those lifelong skills that you're building around their style and how much that imprints in them. Like, we know, from inner child work, how much that season of life has such an impact. And I've had conversations with girlfriends who now reflect back and see where, not so much from their parents, but from society or from like a certain class, or especially in high school, I'm sure, but even from a younger age, how other people's perception of their style really actually imprinted on them in a big way
Mhm.
and made them maybe tone it down and play it safe and just kind of hide behind a personal style that
Mhm.
wasn't theirs. And then they do that over time into adulthood and then suddenly realize, like, wow, I haven't been actually dressing as my favorite self for, decades potentially. So
Or
I'm
ever,
curious,
or
yeah,
ever,
forever.
right? It's
Yeah.
yeah, we have this need to want to belong, especially in North America, and I see it in Toronto is that we can be sheep a little bit. We're afraid of standing out. And I get that because, thousands and thousands of years ago it meant that we were eaten by lions, but now it's like it's safe for you to stand out. It's like Dr. Seuss said, like why blend in when we were born to stand out? Like I think there's something very empowering that can happen when we start to explore our individuality, right? And then even more so when we get to do that and we get to express it through something, right? And why not do it through clothes, right? We have to wear them every day anyways. Why not put on clothes that make us feel amazing? Like it just feels like such a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good soundbite. Okay, I really love your philosophy around buying less and wearing more. And we talked about this a little bit more, but are there any other kind of hacks that you would share when it comes to shopping your closet and, you know, what goes into kind of dressing maybe for a specific event and anything else you would share there?
I would definitely suggest using search engines to search specific pieces. So Carly, you have your gorgeous red cardigan on. If anyone wants to see it on YouTube or social media, so it's a matter of putting like red cardigan outfit into Pinterest or into Google and seeing what comes up. And there's going to be a ton of outfits that you're just not into, or a ton of outfits where you're like, I don't have those pieces and I have no interest in buying them. But there's going to be some that will give you different ideas for things, right? Once again, just like putting chicken recipe into Pinterest, like you're going to have a ton of results that come up. So just pick the ones that are your favorites. So that I find really helpful. I also just think that if there are special occasions that you have, there's great rental companies. There are like friends closets that you can also shop as well. And don't be afraid to try consignment if you haven't before, or try vintage if you haven't before. I 50% of my closet is consignment pieces for sure, and that's an easy way, especially if you are cleansing your closet here as well. You can throw those pieces on Poshmark, make some money, and then it almost equals out because then you're spending the money that you make. So I think for some of those special occasions, just trying to not buy something for a specific occasion that you are not going to wear again is key, because I think about cost per wear on some of those special occasion pieces, and the cost per wear is just, it's so high. Even if I get a great deal on a dress and it was supposed to be $1,000 and I got it for 200, buying that dress for 200 and then wearing it once or twice is exponentially higher than me buying a pair of jeans that I'm going to wear 100, 200 times. It means that dress cost me like 100 times more than those jeans did, right? Even though I spent the same amount on them. So really trying to break things down in terms of cost per wear, when you're looking at pieces, will also help you, I think, invest a little bit more, but buy less, right? My closet, my sister's closet, probably cost the same amount. Her closet is massive. My closet is quite small. I've chosen to be very intentional about my pieces, and she does retail therapy basically all the time. So, and she's gonna know that I'm gonna call her out on it because I cleanse her closet like every time I'm there. So, but it's a matter of thinking about what kind of closet you actually want to walk into. What brings you joy.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And then can you share a little bit? We talked about this a little bit, but I'd love to hear any examples that you have too, and I can share from my own example. But just what shifts when people are able to have a wardrobe that truly feels like their favorite selves, and then they're, wearing these outfits that have been so intentionally curated? What shifts in how they actually show up and present themselves, and whether it's at a networking event or even at a family gathering, whatever that looks like.
I do a talk called your superhero cape, and I think about that analogy of Clark Kent walking into a telephone booth and, taking off the glasses and putting on his Superman cape and walking out, and all of a sudden, like, he can fly and he can take over the world. And it seems kind of silly, but I see that transition on a much smaller scale every time a client walks out of a change room, right? It's a matter of seconds where they have gone in feeling a certain way about who they are, and what their body is doing, and there's all these insecurities and this blame on themselves, and then they come out and they are a totally different person. They can see themselves the way that I can see them, the way that you can see them, the way that the rest of the world sees them. And that is, it's everything for us to be able to step into ourselves and start to take up space. It just means that we get to Kool-Aid man into every room that we go into, right? You're not afraid of the the phone ringing or whatever, an email coming in inviting you to something and you not being ready for it, right? You're not afraid of bumping into someone on the street, or when you are grocery shopping. You just feel like there is no room that you don't belong in, right? And that to me that's everything. Like, that is everything. If why not use that tool, right? If we have that tool in our belt to allow us to feel more confident, and I think especially when you aren't feeling connected to your body, or when you aren't feeling your best, it's this great tool to almost allow you to fake it until you make it, right? You can start to dress the part, and then we know, like, our brains don't know the difference, right? So as soon as we continue to tell ourselves, like, this is who I am, then all of a sudden it's who you become. And we get to do that while wearing clothes that make us feel great. And potentially having fun with it. Like, I just think it's why I have the best job in the world.
That got me emotional, and especially because I'm thinking of my son when he puts on his Iron Man costume. I'm
Yes.
thinking of my daughter when she puts on like her princess dress that she loves,
Yes.
and just like how they show up and exactly like fly around the house. And yeah, I love that so much, and I notice such a difference, when I am able to be so intentional. And usually I am when I'm going places, and I need to be a little bit better at it when I'm home and working from home too. And just knowing that, okay, maybe I don't have any calls today, but what if I do just get a little ping to hop on video? And there's so many times when I don't do that because I didn't, put myself together that day. And so just being prepared for that more often and intentionally.
And I would even say, Carly, who cares if you're on video or not? Like, do it for
Yeah.
yourself, right? Do it
Yes.
for yourself because it makes you feel great. I never care about what other people feel about my outfits. Like, it's nice if someone likes an outfit that I'm wearing, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I like my outfits, right? So if someone else doesn't, that's okay. It's not their style. Like, not everyone likes the food that I like either, but that's okay. It doesn't mean anything. As long as I feel comfortable in what I'm wearing, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, thank you for reflecting that back, because it's still an area where the external validation
Yes.
comes in, and it's really about the internal. And I love that comparison again to food, and that, if exactly, like, people aren't looking at what you're eating for dinner. They are, maybe they are, but who cares what their opinion is as long as
Yeah.
you're enjoying it.
Yeah, and that has everything to do with them and nothing to do with us either, right?
Yes,
It's like, if
yes,
someone's really judging me on something, then that's work that they have to do. I'm not going to worry about that.
absolutely. Oh, this has been so good. I'm curious just about what season you feel like you are expanding into right now, and how your own style reflects that, and what does your favorite self look and feel like in this season?
My favorite self looks like just ease. Like, I love living on easy street. I like being able to wear clothes that are easy, and I don't want to have a lot of thought for them. Like, it's why I capsule wardrobe everything, and I make sure that my whole entire wardrobe mixes and matches and multitasks, because I'm in the season of life where I do not want to be spending any time on thinking about things that I don't need to be thinking about because my brain is always filled with a million different things. So I'd rather have that time to be spending with with my family or with my friends or on something creative, rather than stressing about what to wear. So my key thing is just to keep things as simple as possible, and that means getting rid of anything that doesn't serve me. And I think that's probably not just in my closet. I think that's probably an analogy for life. I make sure that there's no settling. If there's no settling in my closet, there's no settling for friends or for even acquaintances or for my time or for anything else, then it just means that I'm gonna be happier. So I'm gonna say that I'm in like the season of fall because that's my favorite season. And and especially with work, like this has been 18 years of this, so I'm lucky enough to be able to enjoy the fact that I've stood in line for a long time, which is great, but it means that I get to relax a little bit more and just enjoy all of my clients, enjoy what I do, and enjoy wearing nice clothes while I do it.
I love that so much. And once again, just such a good reminder that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And so
Yes.
how your closet really reflects so much more than just what you're choosing to put on your body. This has been so, so good. I can't wait to hear from listeners in terms of what really resonated. I think everyone's going to be wanting to go create their style vision boards from this, and so many good takeaways and good tips. I'd love to move on to a little bit of rapid fire, and
Oh,
then we'll
go
wrap up
for
with
it.
ways to find you. Sometimes it's not so rapid, and that's okay. No pressure.
I know I'm always long-winded with answers too, so I always worry about rapid fire. I'm like, I'll try and cut it short.
So, what's part of your morning ritual that you can't go without?
Ooh, I wake up much earlier than my family, and that is important. I make something, I create something before I just absorb something as well. So that could just be a tea, or it could be me doing meditation or just me doing something creative. But waking up before everyone, besides my animals, is something that I can't go without.
Beautiful. Again, setting your morning with such intention. What's an outfit that you always feel so much like yourself in, or what's your favorite outfit right now?
Oh, all of them. Honestly, I love all of my outfits. I love my sweatsuits. I love my underwear. I could probably do with a few more pairs of socks. I'm not gonna lie, but everything else is great. I have a favorite outfit for kind of every situation. But there's nothing in there that doesn't make me feel like my favorite self.
Incredible. What's something that you'll never wear again?
Oh, oh, this is a good one. Probably that cobalt blue wig that I wore for my pictures in high school. I
Oh,
won't take
I
anything
still
off the
remember
table. I don't,
that.
yeah, I don't know who I'm gonna be in the future, so I'm not gonna take anything else off. Actually, I shouldn't even take the wig off the table. Who knows? Maybe I'll want to wear a blue wig in the future. But yeah, I think that's probably it. I really don't have many regrets. I think it's so fun to look back at all the different people and style that I tried on over the years. So there's nothing where I cringe at it.
We're gonna have to dig up a picture of you in this blue wig that we can share.
Oh yeah, I think I probably have too many pictures of it, so I'm sure I can find one.
I love that. What's a style rule that you completely have let go of?
Oh, so many. So many rules. Not wearing white after Labor Day, not putting black and brown together, not putting black and blue together. Yeah, there's so many of them. And I feel like even fashion rules from year to year change, where it's like don't pull up your socks, and now it's like don't have no-show socks. Like there's so many things. So I would rather come up with my own personal rules for myself rather than other people's rules. I'm a person who doesn't wear workout gear out. And the reason for this is because, once again, I know the psychological kind of effects of clothing. So when I put on my workout clothes, my brain it's the same with my sneakers. Like my brain goes into workout mode, and so I keep that for workouts, and it inspires me to actually to move. So if I'm not feeling like it, then actually putting on those clothes make me feel better. So that means that those clothes don't get worn in other situations. Otherwise, I wouldn't have as strong a connection.
Oh, such a good one. That's a good reminder for me.
Well, you don't have to do it. It's a personal rule. It's like a
No, I
personal
like
rule
it.
that
I
works
like
for
it.
me.
It
So
totally makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like specific workout clothes that
Yeah.
feel really great in. I know for me, it's yeah, it's something that
Or
has
just if I am wearing it out, I need to work out that day. It's a non-negotiable.
whatever works for you. You
Yeah.
create your own rules. Yeah.
I love that. And what's something that you're currently calling in?
Ooh, I would say consistency is probably something that I'm calling in. I'm very good at diving into something and just absorbing it and going all in, and then never wanting to look at it again. So I think that I need to just be a little bit more consistent in certain parts of my life and make sure that I hang on to things for longer than, a month or two. I feel like anyways, your last guest talked about this with Pilates. So it's the same type of thing where I need to ensure that it's not just a 2 month or 3 month thing that I'm staying consistent.
Yeah. It's definitely a big theme right now. So I love that. I'm so excited to see what that brings for you. And I just absolutely love this conversation. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us. Can you let everybody know where they can find you, how they can connect with you?
Yeah, for sure. My website is www.yourshopgirl.com. And I am sometimes on Instagram at your_shop_girl, trying to be more consistent on there now. So you can all hold me to that.
Amazing. And we'll share that in the show notes as well. Any final thoughts to someone who's just really ready to step into that shift and their favorite self style?
I think I think it's really just a matter of taking the time to think about it, right? We do it with our menu planning. We do it if we are decorating a room, but we don't do it for ourselves. So just take the time to really think about how you want to show up, and then ensure that you're taking the steps to make sure that your wardrobe, reflects that as well. And there's no right answer to this. It has to be totally individual, and it has to feel amazing. So if something doesn't feel amazing on, then it's not meant for you.
Yeah. And if you're feeling really stuck, give Susanna a call,
I'm here for
send her
you.
a message.
I'm
And
your style fairy godmother. I
I
can.
love it. Oh, so good. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Favorite Self podcast. If this episode stirred something in you, there's a reason for it. If you could take a moment to share with a friend, someone who's also building something brave, that would mean so much to me. Better yet, leave a review. It helps this message reach even more women who are ready to lead differently. And before you go, remember this: your favorite self is already within you, waiting to be heard. See you next time.